When you're feeling down and like your world's moving slow, just remember your race. You lose at your pace when marching towards your goals. Brighter than the stars. Don't take impossible. Nothing is impossible. You're brighter than the stars. An angel, 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 soaring like an eagle, eagle, eagle. Nothing is impossible. Don't take impossible. You're brighter than the stars.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of Talking with 3D right here on Plush Work TV. I am your host, Derek Darrell Dixon, and I am so ecstatic to have a special guest here today, someone that I can call my friend. Michael Braxton Jr. is with us today on Talking with 3D. So, Mr. Braxton, welcome, and thank you so much for coming on Talking with 3D. It is such a pleasure to have you. You know, I met Michael at a fundraising event for autism awareness, and we sat down and we talked like we have been friends for years. And since then, we have been conversing back and forth and talking about different ideas and things that how we could collaborate and work together and do some things to better our community and do some things out in the community. So before I give you a proper introduction, Mr. Braxton, how are you doing today?
You know, I'm doing well, man. I can't complain about much. I wish I was there with you, but you know, these COVID numbers are just rising up. So
they're going back up and stuff like that. So yeah, so next time, you know, we'll be coming into the studio and then we'll be doing some live interviews. But listen, this is the world of technology, so this is the next best thing.
Exactly. The
next best thing. So I'm glad that we have this opportunity in order to still be able to communicate and tell the world more about, you know, about you and what you're doing, because I think it's so important of you know, us bringing health awareness to our community, the Black community, the brown community. Is so important. And it's not that we don't feel it's important to all communities. It is. But there's a lot of reasons why we bring it into our community, because it's the lack of education. So we have to educate our community just a little bit more. And again, not to say that you're uneducated, but it's the fact that there's a lot of things that we do that we want to do natural remedies, or we do what grandmother told us to do in order to make us healthy. Right. So we're gonna be talking about that. But let me tell you a little bit about Michael Braxton. He is the only son among the Braxton siblings, which consist of Tony, Traci, Tawanda, Trina, and Tamar. Michael is a songwriter. He's also a singer. He's also appeared in the episode of the family reality show, which premiered April 12th, 2011 on WeTV, The Braxton Family Values. Also that his real passion is his nurse case management, has been his real passion for work for several years, with a goal to globally impact the community and the nursing profession. He's also combined culture and nursing, inspired Michael to create an idea called Health Tips and Hip Hop. And we're going to be talking a lot about that as well. The interface between awesome culture and excellent professions of nursing. He also has a love for motorcycle riding, and we want to talk a little bit about that as well. So, Michael, you have so much going on, and I think a lot of people, because of the fact that you do lay low when it comes to the Braxtons, you do lay low. So a lot of times people knew of Michael Braxton, but never really heard from Michael Braxton. So, Michael, first off, I just want to ask you, growing up, I know there was a story that says that when Tamar was 5 years old, yes, she demanded, she was using the restroom, demanded somebody get her some toilet paper. And that was one of the first songs that y'all had a writing experience. got together, harmonized, made up this song. What was it like growing up in the Braxton family, especially being the only boy, the only son of the Braxtons, and you are the second oldest?
Yes, yes.
So you had Tony first, and then you, and then all of a sudden these other four girls came behind you. What was it like for Michael Braxton to grow up in that Braxton home?
You know what? I'm still speechless because when I think about it, it was fun. I would torment my sisters all the time. I would aggravate them. But we had two bathrooms initially. So luckily we lived out in the country. So I won't tell you, a lot of the times I had to go outside.
Right.
And we had a lot of trees, I'll just say that. And it was fun. We did lots of singing, lots of family trips, lots of churches. We were in church all the time. We know so many, people in the church. So, and that was good. And growing up around family, because Queenstown Road, everybody's related, basically. So, and that was good. So it was a wonderful experience, I would have to say. A little different, I played a lot with my cousins and best friends outside, because I had all sisters, they would plait their doll baby's hair and I would take them apart, things like that. And it was just a lot of fun.
Now, your father, Michael Braxton Sr., he was a pastor.
Yes.
So you guys were so involved in church. Your mother, Evelyn, made sure that you were very involved in the church. Did you get your singing career in the church? Is that where, how did the Braxtons know that the Braxtons, first off, could sing?
Well, when we were younger, my mom would always, when we were driving in the car, she would always sing one of her famous gospels. And then all of a sudden she was like, okay, y'all help me sing background. So started singing background. It was almost like the Jacksons.
Okay.
Excessive spankings, as teachers. Crazy. And then she got us to harmonize. And then every time my father went to minister, we would be his background choir. So that's
okay.
And my mom is in the ministry as well. So we would also be her background choir. So it was an experience, but we did lots of singing, lots of practicing. Sometimes we had to switch up voices. Sometimes I would do alto, Tony would do tenor, and vice versa, baritone. I did the baritone.
Right.
It was a lot of fun.
Growing up also in the Braxton family, was there, because I believe that you guys are all such a tight-knit family.
Yes.
And going through a lot of trials and tribulations. And, we first off, we want to send our condolences to you and your family. We know that you lost your sister, Traci, March 12th of this year. And Traci was such an icon of her own.
Yes.
That she touched so many people's lives. And it was a shock to the world. It was a shock to the culture. And I know that she had been battling, with cancer for some while. And I know the family kept it, within the family. And I really appreciate that about you guys, because the fact that everyone knows the Braxtons, but when someone has struggles within the family, you keep it within the family. So, that's one thing we appreciated, but we also appreciate that you shared Traci with us. And we really, truly, appreciate that. She was such a light. Yes. And we just really loved Traci. Traci was to me, getting to know the family, watching the Braxton family values. Traci was like the rebel to us, but she was the one that spoke her mind and put people in their places. And we love that about her. We condolences also to her husband and her son, Kevin and Kevin Jr. So, growing up, was there any animosity within the family? Because we see you guys as a tight-knit family, and you work together and pray together and sing together. Was there ever a time that you felt like you know what, we got to go our own separate way?
I would have to say for me, no, you know what I mean? But, I had all sisters. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever they would get into their, I call them their sister discussions, I kind of just went my own way.
Right.
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
we always came together at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that was something my parents didn't tolerate too much. They always constantly told us, hey, family first, family first, family first.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the Braxton family values, because we would see you in some episodes here and there. Was that by choice, or is that just something that this is what the sisters are doing, and therefore I have another path that I'm going?
That was basically by choice. I was invited to do more, but at the same token, me being a nurse, I had patients to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
School back and forth. So for the most part, it was more of my choice not to actually join the show.
And then when you did, we were, it was a breath of fresh air to see you on the show, because you are, again, a pillar of the family. So, a songwriter, you've written so many songs that people, again, not aware that Michael Braxton wrote these songs. You wrote a song for Traci Braxton called Reasons.
Yes.
You wrote a song, Under the Christmas Tree, that you and Tony performed. Also songs for yourself and Michael, I tell you, you have such a beautiful voice. You wrote a song and sang Take You There, Why Do You Stay? And then a song that Michael, yourself and Christine Hayes, How We Love.
How We Love, yes.
How We Love. So those are some just beautiful songs that you have written, and to be a writer and be able to, do you want to write more songs? Do you have that passion to write more music?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Right now I'm in collaboration with Troy, who's my distant relative, and he owns 3 Hours of Power. So we're working on finishing up actually a Christmas album.
Okay.
And, excellent producer Malik. So, we're trying to finish it up. Then I've been reaching out to one of my old collaborators, David Abrahams, who helped me with That's How We Love, the original version of Under My Christmas Tree. So I'm just trying to do a little something.
Do you think, and if you can give us the exclusives if you want, do you think that you will come out with your own album?
I'm just going to laugh on that one. But, yes, eventually, yes. Hopefully
Eventually.
by the end of this year.
Okay.
Hopefully by the end of this year.
Okay, well, you heard it first, ladies and gentlemen. We, with no pressure, we will be looking for Michael Braxton's own CD coming out by the end of 2022. So we'll be looking forward to that. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, that's just a little bit about Michael Braxton. We're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. And we're going to just talk about the new program that he has coming up. It's called Health Tips and Hip Hop. And we really want to get into that and talk about where it's going and how you got started with it and how we can help the community to really educate themselves more about health. So don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We are here with Michael Braxton on Talking with 3D. I am your host, Derek Darrell Dixon. Don't go anywhere. Get a snack. Come right back.
If you're watching this with your friends, you'll probably make a joke.
Because you know what you feel on the inside
isn't what you want people to know.
If you have to pretend to be happy,
find someone you trust and tell them.
If you get mad at things and you don't know why, or have thoughts about hurting yourself,
find someone you trust and tell them.
You are never alone when you share.
Seriously, people care about you.
It's okay to not understand what you're feeling.
And it's easy to think that you're all alone.
But you don't have to be.
You're never alone when you share.
Don't be ashamed to tell someone you trust what you're feeling.
You're not alone.
You are not alone.
Find someone you trust and tell them.
Tell a parent.
Tell a teacher. Tell a brother or sister.
Or just tell a friend.
You haven't done anything wrong.
Talk to someone.
Talk to someone.
It's how things get better.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again. You are watching Talking with 3D. I am here with my friend, Michael Braxton of the Braxton family. And we are here just talking about just different projects that he has coming up, different projects that he's been doing and the writing. He has a new program that he has. It's called Health Tips in Hip Hop. Michael, can you tell us a little bit more about how you came up and why it was important for you to come up with this program called Health Tips in Hip Hop? Where did you get the name, and why does it involve hip hop?
Okay, well, I'm considered to be part of the hip hop generation.
Okay.
And I noticed when I worked in different clinics and in the community, there was a disconnect. Even being a case manager, there was a disconnect that, with a lot of people, not just us, but I'm just talking about my community right now, where it was always, well, they aren't agreeing with what the doctor tells them or the nurse would tell them. But sometimes it was the medical approach, and most people in the medical profession, we are there to help people. Sometimes, you know how it is with communication, you have to make that connection. You have to listen to the person that's talking, and they have to listen to your advice. But if you're always just talking to a patient or to a person, they can't hear you. And if you talk too long, as you know, once you talk too long, it's like, I don't hear what you're saying.
Right.
So, and when the patients would come in, they would talk to me a lot of times. And like, I remember one situation where a guy was like, Mike, I got this gout in my knee, man, and it won't go away. So the other dude chimed in, and then somebody else chimed in when it came to gout. And, sometimes their input was not the best input. But the idea was they were listening. So you know what they did? They coordinated to come in the clinic at the same time so that they could talk about it. And the goal was met because, believe it or not, since they were feeding off one another, I kind of added my little medical advice and say, well, we always want to talk to your doctor, but make sure you keep in contact with your doctor and come in when your doctor makes the recommendation for you to come in. So that was a goal met. So, and it's just about, and our culture has a lot, it's very enriched.
Right.
Most people don't see that.
Right.
Because most of the time we were taught, hey, don't say anything about anything, keep your mouth hush. A lot of times we don't know that our grandparents had high blood pressure because nobody talks about it.
That's right.
If there's anything, you don't know what your aunt or your uncle passed from because nobody talks about it. But they did during that time they got together. The one dude said, well, my grandmother had gout. Then the other said, well, my aunt had gout, So that was a way of communicating. And it was the community that change it was the community that exchanged conversation,
right?
Just there redirecting them. So I was like, oh man, I'm on to something. I'm definitely on to something. So it was the community that gave me the idea.
And there's a lot of times it would be so embarrassing go into the doctor in your first initial visit, and they give you this long list of things to check off, and they would want to know your family history. Does your family have this, have this, have this? And again, like you were saying, because of the fact that we didn't conversate and have those conversations among the family, we didn't know what to check off. I didn't know if my mother had high blood pressure, diabetes, anything like that, because we didn't have those discussions.
Right.
And again, we're talking about the Black and Brown community because of the fact that, mom and dad always seemed invincible to us. So therefore, when something happened, we didn't understand why it was happening.
Exactly.
We didn't understand if it could happen to us.
Exactly.
So this is so important that we have these discussions and teach, especially our young people now, to know about their family history, to know about themselves, in order to make sure that they are in a healthy place.
Exactly. Yes. And even though I'm a nurse, I remember one time I just bought like these 24 bottles or a case of drinks, because I was like, I'm gonna lose weight, but it never dawned on me that Superman, I call myself, when a diabetic, because I'm a diabetic, and I just kept drinking, and the more I drank, the more thirsty I became. And the more I kept going back and forth to the bathroom to pee. I peed all the time, and by being a nurse, automatically I would say, oh, I have diabetes. My mom has diabetes. All of her sisters had diabetes. But to me, I was invincible. I don't have diabetes until one day I was just dead tired, fatigued. And I checked my blood sugar and it was way over 300. So you're headed for a stroke, basically. But now I'm on medication and it's managed, and I'm not afraid to talk about it. Before I would just talk about it. I'd say, I'm borderline diabetic. I got low sugar, because that's the thing in our community. You got sugar.
Right.
So, and I was thinking, hey, I'm vulnerable and I'm a nurse. So we all are vulnerable and can, exchange conversations to get ourselves a little bit better.
So you started this program that you are inventing here, Health Tips in Hip Hop. What will people get from it? What are we expecting, and how will we be educated through it?
Well, believe it or not, we will be educated through one another.
Gotcha.
And that's how we used to do, if you remember back in the 50s and 60s. Of course, it was led by the minister. We all went to the church for our knowledge. Everything came from the church, no matter what it was, So by me facilitating everything, being a professional nurse, I'm also in a psychiatric nurse practitioners program too. I just found out that I was accepted into that program.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And just to help people across, all races, age, just to let them know that it's okay to speak amongst one another, because we have some great knowledge to exchange to one another. And sometimes it's just to get somebody to come out of their shell to say, it's okay. Like even like with prostate cancer, a lot of men, we don't talk about signs and symptoms of prostate cancer. You can watch television, but we don't listen. But if somebody within your group would say, hey, you know what? I've been retaining urine all the time. Some blood came out, I peed, somebody else. So it's almost like the barbershop talk, just a little bit. So I was, and it has been evidence-based that this type of platform will work for us.
So, and Michael, something that you just said is, being able to talk. How do we get, especially our men, let's talk about our men, to get them to talk about prostate? Going in and getting their checkups and I had walked around just recently for almost 3 weeks, and I finally went to the doctor. I was coughing and hacking, took COVID test, the home COVID test while I was at home. Just taking Alka-Seltzer Plus, and finally I called out of work for 2 days. Finally went to the doctor and found out I had been walking around with pneumonia.
Wow.
And it could have went another way.
Absolutely.
But because of the fact that I finally got wisdom and said, I need to go to the doctor to see what's wrong with me and sit down and talk to somebody to find out what's going on. So many of our Black men will not go in and talk to a doctor. They will not talk to, if they have a spouse or family member. They just figure they'll just work it out somehow. How do we encourage our Black men to have these conversations and talk more?
Well, you have to find an interesting subject, first of all. So, and we have a lot of hip hop celebrities that's died recently. Like, look at Heavy D. Heavy D had, what did he have? Blood clots.
Blood clots, yes.
You talk about the signs and symptoms of blood clots. Somebody knows somebody that had those signs and symptoms. It's just like you mentioned, you walked around with symptoms of pneumonia, but you never knew you had it.
Right.
And in the forum of talking to, and remember, what you said took you no more than 45 seconds. That's why it's called tips. Health tips in hip hop. Somebody will listen to you and say, you know what, my boy Derek, he was walking around coughing. And he took all this cough medicine and he couldn't figure out what was up, but he went to the doctors. I'm gonna try. Or they might tell somebody else, I was talking to this one dude, Derek, and he said he had blah, 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 blah. However, that conversation has to be initiated. Once you start it, it's viral, believe it or not, because people like to help other people. We do like to help people within our culture.
Right.
It makes you feel good knowing that, you know what, I was able to help that person out, and not to tell their business, just short little things that, could occur. It's just like the same thing as diabetes. Michael Braxton said he peed a whole lot. I think a whole lot. It could be diabetes. Let me go to my doctor. Or even prostate cancer. What's another one of those cancers you can get? Colon cancer.
Colon, correct.
You know what? I haven't gone yet. I don't know why. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of people haven't gone. But you get a forum, especially of men, to talk about it. And talk about other people that have probably passed from it, or the stages has been advanced. That makes a person interested to say, you know what, I'm vulnerable. It can happen to me. I'm not invincible. I'm not the Superman that I thought I was.
Thought you were. What about people self-diagnosing themselves? We'll get on Google real quick.
Google, exactly.
And we'll say, okay, I got a pain right here. And let me Google that. Okay, it says I got this and I got this going on and I should drink this. And so what about when we self-diagnose and use those kind of, Google and all that?
Well, in my opinion, Google is good and Google is bad.
Okay.
Now, the good side of Google, it makes people research. And that's the best thing to do. You always want to be familiar what could be. Because Google, all it is it's a computer way of having a conversation.
Right.
But what you do behind that Google, okay, you have a lump here. You say you feel a lump, and Google might say, oh, it's some kind of bone issue.
Right. Or you have a cyst or something like that.
Cyst or a spacious cyst or something like that. You're like, Google says I'm a BI.
Right.
But you don't do anything about it. But if you talk to someone else might say, hey man, you know what? My uncle had that. It turned out to be cancer, bro. You might want to get that checked out. You see, then somebody will think even more and say, let me see. And then if you have a facilitator, they say, hey man, what's up with that lump you had? Did you get it checked out?
Right.
Say, yeah, man, I'm going. I heard this happened to blah, 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 and this happened to blah, 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 but I'm gonna go. And it's the encouragement of one another to get somebody interested in, their own health.
Listen, we are here again with Michael Braxton, and we are talking about health tips in hip hop. So listen, we're going to take another quick break, and then we're going to come back. Me and Michael have other things in common as far as I have a son that's on the autism spectrum. He has a family member that was diagnosed on the autism spectrum. So I just want to talk a little bit about that and how we can help each other find out and talk more about diagnosis and things like that. So don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We will be right back. I'm here, Michael Braxton. I'm talking with 3D.
Hi, I'm Dr. Teresa Smith, the Associate Dean of Graduate Medical Education at SUNY Downstate Health Sciences University. There's a lot of misinformation about the COVID-19 vaccine, so it's critical that you get the facts from sources you can trust. Here's one misconception, that the vaccine will alter your DNA. This is false. The current vaccines are mRNA vaccines, which provide a genetic code for your body to produce a protein. In this case, the COVID spike. Once that genetic code is done producing the COVID spike protein, it's eventually degraded by your body, and therefore it does not stick around, and it cannot change your DNA. The ultimate goal is to have your body develop an immune system response to those COVID spikes by forming antibodies against it. With this immune system memory, every time your body sees COVID, you will have fighter antibodies that remember the COVID spikes. This will protect you from getting lethally sick. That's the truth. The COVID-19 vaccine is safe, effective, and our best chances at protecting ourselves and getting back to normal. So before you make up your mind, know your facts.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again. You're watching Talking with 3D, and I am here with Michael Braxton of the Braxton family. Michael, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about I have a son who's on the autism spectrum. And I adopted my son when he was 5 years old. He's now 22. But when I adopted my son, Cortez, I had no idea, never heard of the word autism, never heard of it. And there were so many different characteristics that I kind of had to learn on my own of what this world of autism was about. So the reason I'm bringing it up is because of the fact that also he has a seizure disorder. So what I noticed is that I had to find my way because they would try different medications on him, mostly for the seizure disorder. But it counteracted. And what it did was now they wanted to make the autism, the autistic child, made that he has bad behavior because of the autism. He's doing this because of the autism. He's doing this because of the autism. And what it was because of the medication. When I did, and I used Google, when I did my research and found out a lot of the side effects of the medication was causing him to have certain behaviors. And he was having hallucinations that he would be on fire and things like that. So it wasn't the autism, what they were saying, it was the medication. But it's because of the fact that I did the research, got him off of those medications, and then started to learn different things to help him more so again with the seizures. Now I never had those issues ever again. So when people are on different medications and they notice different type of symptoms, side effects, how do you encourage and how do we encourage? Because a lot of people won't do as I did and do the research. They will go, and again, our doctors are wonderful people. They are there for a reason. But a lot of times we won't have that conversation and just go by what the doctor has said. How do we, again, even through health tips and hip hop, will this help people communicate more about what they're putting in their bodies?
Well, see, to me, I think increased communication brings up confidence. So once you know, and you don't have to know everything, just like you. Sometimes I know, well, I can imagine when you read on Google or when you research Google, some of the words you didn't understand.
Right.
I didn't understand some of the words, I have to be like, break it down like one syllable at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And probably because you went to groups about autism, autistic groups, to help families, that conversation and that confidence of knowing or having some type of idea of what was going on prompt you to say, and I'm gonna talk to this doctor and I'm gonna let this doctor know some signs and symptoms that my son's that's just not right. And then you can even challenge what this medical professional tells you, because you'll say, what, I read and blah, 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 that this shouldn't be happening. This can cause this, because nobody knows it all. Not even medical professionals.
Let me ask you something that you said is very important. Is it okay, because I think people need to understand that, is it okay to challenge a profession? Because some people some professionals in the medical field may feel insulted, the fact that you are challenging them.
I would have to say absolutely yes. Because remember, it's your body. We're assisting you with managing your body.
We are assisting you in managing your body.
Exactly. So once people understand that, And like I said, communication promotes confidence. And once you have that confidence, you can stand in front of anyone and say, no, I know this is not right. My body is not supposed to feel this way. So therefore, number one, I'm not going to, now, don't everybody go out there and say, Michael Braxton told me.
Michael Braxton said to challenge you, and I'm going to challenge you.
Exactly. I got a state board of nursing calling me 24.
Right. He's a Braxton. And the Braxtons told me. And then all of a sudden they're going to say, Tony. And then Tony said, and then Tamar told me. And they ain't said nothing to y'all.
Exactly. But everything is evidence-based, and that's what they present us with. They're presenting us with evidence-based information. So we can take it back to them. But, you can always listen to a person that appears to know what they're speaking about. So a medical professional would say, oh, this person has done their research. So since they performed their research and looked just to see what's going on, I have to respect that, and I have to sit back and listen.
Right.
Most people.
Right. Most people.
And then but by us sitting around in a forum, or by us sitting around collectively speaking, it just increases the knowledge. So like you felt powerful when you went to speak with that doctor about your son.
Yes.
Because you were your son's manager saying, hey, no, I'm not going to accept this for him or myself. So can we look at something else? And, and it all depends on how you present it. You can't say, well, I check Google. I tell my sister Tony all the time, she's a Googleologist. She is the Google queen, but it's good,
Yes.
So
it's good. We had talked about, as my son gets older and may need assistance living and things like that. Is that also a program that Health Tips in Hip Hop that could help guide us in a way? Let's say if my son needed, as he gets older, he's going to need different type of assistance. Is that something that we could learn more about as well?
Oh, absolutely, because Health Tips in Hip Hop also has what I call the Garden of Health. So you'll be able, with healthtipsandhiphop.com, you'll just go to healthtipsandhiphop.com and go to your Garden of Health. And you type in exactly what you're looking for or similar to that. And you'll have links associated with that. So, we've been trying, I'll say we, because it's still collectively, the community is giving me ideas as well, just to type it in and by the community talk. And, somebody might say, well, have you tried blah, blah, blah? And I'll have access to that link and put it in the Garden of Health with their permission. Just like the organization that you had, asking you, hey, Derek, would it be okay if I put your organization in the Garden of Health?
Gotcha.
Everybody has something in their garden that they adore, that they like, They have carrots, some people have tomatoes or whatever you choose to be in your garden that helps you will be in Health Tips and Hip Hop's garden.
I like that. Your Garden of Health. I like that. Me being an adoptive father, I have 3 adopted boys. So there is a lot of their medical history I'm not privy to. So how do I educate my children to say, okay, where do I start with them? And to say that, okay, I may not have all the answers for you, but we have to start somewhere. So how do I educate myself and them and other families that are out there that have foster children or adoptive children? How do we have that type of conversation?
I would have to say something like that is universal, even with, children, just like you're doing, man. I think you're doing a fantastic job. And I know what you mean about not having certain access to their health care. But you would speak to them and let them know, hey, Daddy's doing what he has to do to make sure you're okay. We have to communicate. Again, there's the communication.
Right.
And sometimes, they're a little reluctant to open up.
Right.
That's just natural. But I think just by what you're doing is a matter of fact, I'll come to you for some suggestions because that part I don't know.
So we can go to healthtipsandhiphop.com.
Absolutely, yes.
Healthtipsandhiphop.com. So please make sure that you write that down, and we're going to also make sure that you see
Right
it
on my shirt.
on Michael's shirt. Health Tips and Hip Hop with the letter N.com,
Yes.
and you will get more information about it. Now, can we, when we go to the site, do we join, or is it just basically information that we can look up?
Well, for right now, I'll just have it as though there's information where you can look up links, also just basic information for the community. I have some case managers that are on standby that will also be there, just encouraging people, hey, go talk to your doctor or health professional, because ultimately they make the ultimate decisions with your medications, your certain treatments, along with the person, because like I said before, you manage your body. So they're supposed to work with you. It just makes it easier, and that's all it is. It shouldn't be anything complicated. Health Tips and Hip Hop is just to make healthcare easier, because if you live long enough, or the longer you live, you can tell your history. If you don't want anybody else telling your history.
Right
or wrong, if you're in good health, you can tell it. Like I just lost my sister Traci.
Yes.
Everybody knows, but somewhere along the line, certain signs and symptoms probably were missed.
Okay.
And sometimes you can't help life expectancies,
Right.
At least just to have the idea of, what, something's not right. And Traci was good about always going to the doctors first out there, but she also wanted to make sure that she helped other people. And she wanted a voice about her esophageal cancer. As a matter of fact, she and her husband were supposed to get some things done, that she was looking into doing. But, unfortunately, it succumbed to her. But, thank God for the 50 years that he did give us with her.
Yes, and she gave us some incredible years. So we're very grateful for her. And my prayer is that they do get more information regarding that type of cancer, because it's rare, but we hear about it now more and more.
Exactly.
And it takes something like this, unfortunately, for us to educate ourselves more about it.
Right.
So, and again, it's just like we've been talking about this whole time. It's the conversation, it's the communication that we have to talk about it. Like you were saying, hey, I got to go to the bathroom a lot. Once we start to have, I do too. Now we're able to have that conversation and feel we're in a safe place to do it.
Exactly, yes. And feel comfortable,
Yes.
Communication makes confidence.
Yes.
And you're a living witness to that,
Yes.
Your research, your conversations, it works.
Well, listen, I want to get everything in before we run out of time. Michael, when did you find this love for nursing to help people, to help our community? Where did that come from?
You trying to make me tell my age, man. I'll give you this story. At one time, I wanted to work in the morgue. So when I was in high school, I was like, I want to be a mortician. I got to be a mortician. But just to make this long story short. So when I was assigned to the morgue, I was in a program called Health Occupations Program. And the gentleman opened up the freezer where they kept the bodies. They kept them like I don't even know the name of, like a shelf, I guess, inside. And once he opened it up, because of the change in pressure, that person that expired went, So, needless to say, as I scrambled across the floor, trying to run out of the room, and I couldn't, he just fell out laughing. I was like, this is not for me, So
right.
I just kind of figured, well, let me help the living a little bit. So I've always had a passion for helping people. I enjoy helping people.
And we appreciate that, because we need, we appreciate our nurses because of the fact that you do so much. You put up with so much, and especially when COVID was going random. And again, like numbers are going back up and everything. There's, you put yourself in harm's way. You truly did, because there was a lot of people that we didn't know what this thing COVID was.
Absolutely.
We didn't have a clue what that was and why people weren't making it, or why we were getting it, or where it actually came from. So, we say thank you for everything that you and the nurses in the nursing field do for us. Because like you say, you help us manage our bodies, which is an important thing, for someone to do, because you didn't have to. You didn't have to. Another thing I want to squeeze in here real quick is that I know that you're an avid lover for motorcycle riding.
Yes.
Where, and a lot of times I'll be calling you like, listen, I'm on a motorcycle right now. I can't talk right now. Where did that passion for motorcycle riding come up from?
Oh man, I've been riding motorcycles since I was a teenager. And I passed that love for motorcycles to my sons. Matter of fact, my youngest boy, he just graduated from UPenn. So I want to give a shout out to him. And
congratulations.
He's in the PhD program now at Hopkins for mathematics. So he was accepted.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and he and we rode all weekend. My oldest boy, he was going to ride, but unfortunately he had hurt his foot at the job. So he's unable to ride right now, but we just get on those motorcycles and just cruise all day long. I don't ride those sport bikes,
Okay.
I can't ride those. And my sons get on me, Dad, why do you got that old man bike? Old man, but it's a lot of fun. I have a passion for motorcycles.
Now listen, I may get on the back of it. I might get on the back of it, but I would take me around the block and then bring me back home.
So you don't ride?
I don't ride. No, I'm gonna tell you why. I got on a motorcycle one time. They didn't tell me, how to put my leg like that, and burst the side of my leg. I was done.
Oh wow!
I was done.
You have to be extra careful because you're tall.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to be careful where you put your legs. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was done, but I'll try it again. Okay. But yeah, we'll see.
I got a moped you can practice on.
Now, see, that's my speed. You trying to let me have it, Michael?
Oh goodness.
But that's my speed. So, Michael, give us some last tips and about healthcare and why it's so important for people to know more about health tips in hip hop.
Okay, so really, I would have to say constant communication, and it number one. Let me say this: it's okay to be sick. It's okay to be sick because everybody will become ill, but it's how you manage it. It's manage your health, And I'm one to talk because I haven't even had. Okay, I'm gonna tell the truth. Haven't had my prostate checked yet, and I haven't had my colon checked yet. So I know after I tell you this, I'm gonna get a lot of calls. How you gonna get on TV?
Your mama gonna be the first one. What? You done told everybody.
Exactly. So, but it just lets people know, everybody's vulnerable. And I'm quite sure the more I talk about it, it will encourage me to say, Mike, go ahead and get it done. Because it's always that one person that talks to you, say, man, what's up?
Yeah.
Go ahead and get it done. Good.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm afraid of it or anything like that. I just need to make the time and do it.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And I always say in hip hop, it's always like this: you feel me, I feel you. And that's how I practice as a nurse. I would always tell my patients, you know what? I learned from you, you learned from me.
Right.
And that's with anything. So I would say that's the best advice I could give to people. Talk, learn from one another. No one's here, we all are here.
Yes.
And that's just the best advice I could give. Do you have any advice for me?
And my advice to you as we are here is that, what? I am now your brother's keeper. So now it's my responsibility to say, hey, Mike, did you do this yet? Make sure that you go and check up. We have to be accountable now. And we have to do that for each other. So therefore, my brother's keeper is such a powerful word, is that we have to make sure that we're not afraid to have those conversations. We're not afraid. Don't feel like you are being invasive. Just know that, hey, I know this information now. So therefore, it's your job, my job, to follow up. Did you get this done yet? Are you, okay, do you need me to come get you? We're going to make time to do it. So we have to make sure that we as brown and black people, we are accountable for each other. Absolutely. Because nobody else is going to do it. So I am now your brother's keeper and will be accountable to make sure you go get that prostate checked.
Hold up. Let me put you on block. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Listen, I am so happy again that I can call you friend. And I'm so excited of what you are doing. Again, ladies and gentlemen, it's healthtipsandhiphop.com. Look it up, get the information, and have these conversations with your family. Have these conversations with your sons. Have these conversations with your husbands. We have to make sure in our community and in all communities, learn to have conversations. Learn to make sure that you are managing your body. It is so important. And then you have people in different fields, our nurses and our doctors, that are there to help you manage your body. So make sure, again, healthtipsandhiphop.com. Michael Braxton, thank you so much for coming on Talking with 3D. We have so much work to do. This is not the last, and this is not the end. We'll be doing some other shows just to, just to check up on each other.
Exactly.
And bring in, I think that we could bring in different people, doctors and things like that, to give people more information. So I appreciate you, sir. Wishing the family well and sending out our love to everyone. So thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching us here on Talking with 3D on Plushwork TV. And this is my special guest, Mr. Michael Braxton. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for having me.
When you're feeling down and like your world's moving slow, just remember your race. It moves at your pace when marching towards your goals.